Now, the latest from Channel 13 Eyewitness News.
Good evening. I'm Margaret Medley with the latest headlines from Eyewitness News. A judge has ordered former investment manager Tim Durham to spend the next 7 days at a downtown halfway house. Durham is currently facing securities and mail fraud charges after people who invested in his company have lost more than $200 million. Eyewitness News reporter Jeremy Brilliant tells us about Durham's day in court and the orders that surprised Durham's attorney.
Wearing a dress shirt with monogrammed cuffs, Tim Durham waited outside the Volunteers of America homeless shelter and halfway house. He'll spend the next week here on the orders of a federal judge.
He doesn't have to wait until they say 20 years or 100 years. He can start.
In another courtroom today, the lawsuit against Indiana Secretary of State Charlie White continues. The lawsuit challenges White's eligibility of holding the office. Democrats contend the Republican Secretary of State did not live at the address where he was registered to vote. Now a judge will decide on Thursday whether the case should move forward. Indiana's worst criminals could face more time in prison, despite efforts to hold down prison costs. A compromise between Governor Daniels and the Indiana House would increase the maximum sentence for murder from 65 to 75 years. The compromise would also continue current laws, which allow most inmates to be released after serving only half their sentence. Now, these early release laws would keep the state from needing to build a new prison. A 200-foot Super Bowl banner on the outside of Lucas Oil Stadium has been taken down. This comes 4 months after stadium leaders noticed cracks on the outside of the window. Now, the banner is actually a giant sticker which is affixed to the window of the stadium. In December of last year, the authorities noticed these cracks on the window and made repairs. And the host committee says we can expect new Super Bowl signage later in the year as we get closer to game time in February. The leader of the Indianapolis Convention and Visitors Association is in town and preparing for next year's Super Bowl at Lucas Oil Stadium. Now, Leonard Hoops says he hopes the NFL can get its labor situation worked out in time for the game.
We're obviously planning moving forward as if the Super Bowl is going to be 100% coming here, and we're pretty confident at the end of the day it is going to come here. But there's going to be some wringing of hands and worrying in the meantime while that gets figured out.
Hoops officially starts his new position race weekend and says a priority of his will be getting more nonstop flights so we can lure conventions into central Indiana. The Pacers' magic number is now 2 to make the playoffs. The Pacers host rookie John Wall and the Washington Wizards tonight at Conseco Fieldhouse. And if the Pacers win and Charlotte loses at Orlando, the Pacers could clinch their first playoff spot in 5 years. And our crews are already getting ready for President Obama's visit to Indianapolis in 2 days. He's expected to focus on both cutting oil imports and finding alternative fuel sources during his visit. The president's trip to the Allison transmission plant on the west side this Friday comes as local prices continue to climb. Gas prices in Indiana are now about 30 cents higher than the national average. Now, BP will sideline some of its large northern Indiana refineries this summer for maintenance, and consumers are beginning to feel tapped out.
Wages don't go up to reflect, gas prices, grocery prices.
It's terrible. They're just hurting the little people bad. There ain't nothing we can do about it.
1 year ago, gas prices around Indianapolis were $1 cheaper. Now the last time they were below $3 a gallon was back in mid-February. Those are the latest headlines from Eyewitness News. I'm Margaret Medley. Please stay tuned for more news later, right here on Channel 13.